Uh, let, let me know when you want. Okay, sir आ गए हैं. Sir is here. You want me to admit him?
Yeah.
ठीक है, it's working. Sir, just give us two minutes. आर्यन उसको reframe कर दे एक बार. ठीक है, उसको अपने उस पे स्पीकर के ऊपर रख देना.
म्यूट पे है.
मेरे को याद दिख रहा है उसका.
Good afternoon, Jayant sir. Can you hear us?
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. We'll just go live in another couple of minutes.
Right.
So what we've done is, because a lot of participants aren't very, let's say, courteous. So wait, your name is being displayed on your video, or is that just for me?
No, it's okay.
It's okay. Great. Sir, anything else? Anything you require?
I think I require a haircut, but I'll do that after the
Right. I think that's everyone now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna live stream this on YouTube.
Sure.
We have.
So how do you plan to do this? Is it a Q&A, or do you want me to speak for like 10-15 minutes? How have you planned it?
So we were thinking that you'll speak for a while, just give the audience a bit of an idea, because AI is very, very new to a lot of Indians, at least.
Right.
So just give a brief session on that, and then it'll be conversational, a bit of Q&A, and a lot of questions directly from our live stream that'll be on YouTube.
Right.
So that's what we had in mind. So we'll once we go live, I'll just start, do a few housekeeping announcements. Just be courteous, be decent enough, do not cross any lines.
And I'll get to see all of you here.
So to be honest, we'll switch off our videos once you come on, because then your video should be displayed on the live stream. So, but we'll be on call only. If there's anything, you can just let us know even during the stream. We'll be here only. We'll be here on this call.
Understand? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Serge, everything is set from our side.
And how many guests are you expecting?
Everything's good.
Over 100.
Over 100, we're sure. With the above upper limit, we're not sure
that's
right now.
But upper limit.
Let me know when can we go live.
I'm good, sir.
Whenever you want.
We're all set.
All set? I think let's go live then.
Yeah, I'm going live in 5. Yeah, we're live.
Live. Good afternoon to all the participants. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much. So we thought it'd be a great it will be a great time to talk about one of the its correlation in law. So without wasting any further time, I'm sure you're not here to see me, you're obviously sir, and then we'll kick off the session off. Krisha, thank you so much.
Thank you, Saharsh, and welcome, Jayant sir. We are quite honored to have you lead the session. Based out of New Delhi, he holds a dual Masters of Law from New York University and the esteemed National University of Singapore. Sir is a Delhi High Court Bar Association. Organizations. Sir regularly features in news articles columns and is also a writer and a thoughtful leader. From my personal experience, that he posts on LinkedIn, because it's not just about how to be a better advocate, but it's also about how to be a nicer person in general. So I'm very honored to welcome Sir here. And Sir, I would like to hand off this virtual platform to you now and talk about artificial intelligence.
Thank you, Krisha and Saharsh, both of you and your team. And if I'm not wrong, this is my second appearance. So thank you for enduring me for the second time. I know it's tough because, as you rightly said, it's Saturday evening and people have their plans. But I must thank you that at least it's Saturday, not Sunday, because Sunday is the only day I get. And I've been pledging my commitments reluctantly to some of the organizations because as the lockdown is progressing into unlockdown, people are getting busier, and weekends is the only time, or perhaps Saturday, Sunday, so as to say, is the only time when people can get some time off and are wanting to interact with people through webinar. But be that as it may, I think we are assembled here today for a very, very interesting topic, which is AI and law. So when anybody would speak to me about AI, the first thing that would come to my mind is obviously a machine. And the popular concept is machine learning or deep learning and all those fancy terms which go. But please pardon me because I'm not a scientist. I was always fared very poorly in science. But as a lawyer, I do try to make sense of things, and because so far as English is concerned, and some bits and bobs of Latin and Hindi and Urdu, I try to relate to them, and the human psyche and psychology and interacting with other people is what give me an insight into a topic. So jumping right into the topic of AI, this term was first coined by Professor John McCarthy in 1956. Who first came up with the term of artificial intelligence. So what exactly do we understand, or what exactly do we mean by artificial intelligence? It's something, to my mind, which assists human intelligence. It cannot replace human intelligence. At least, I'm hopeful, at least not for the next 50 to 100 years. But it is something, by which we all use machines in day-to-day life, by which we get assisted through intelligent machines or mechanisms, which help us and which enables us to ensure that, the machines that we are using, or the machines on which we are relying, either as layperson or as a lawyer, that they help us effectively perform our job. There is a huge raging debate, and so far as the Indian diaspora is concerned, the fraternity is concerned, we always are at least 10 steps, we move 10 steps backward when we think of digitization or artificial intelligence. And the legal industry has been one of the slowest industry to adapt to artificial intelligence, vis-a-vis any other industry. So today, when you use a Uber or a Ola or a Zomato, or even Siri or Alexa for that matter, they are all part and parcel of artificial intelligence, and how artificial intelligence has made our life, really easy, to say the least. For example, if today you're sitting at home and you have Alexa, you just say, Alexa, play me a music, play me a song. And over a period of time, not only are they, and by they I mean Amazon or the software developers for Amazon, the way they have programmed Alexa, they be an or be a look, Serge, don't eat this, or look, Rishabh, don't drink this, it may be harmful for you, something like that. So all those, machine learning, will have to wait and watch how much they are able to pry digitization. The next big debate, which cross paths with artificial intelligence, is the whole debate of privacy, machines prying into our lives. So we have to think about that. But I'll come to the debate at a later part of the segment this afternoon. But the first thing, as I said, is artificial intelligence. So how are we coping up with artificial intelligence, both in India and internationally? Now, there are certain things and there are certain softwares which have been developed internationally. Let me talk about the international market first, because they have been the pioneer of artificial intelligence. And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry now across the globe. So artificial intelligence has come up with few softwares. And I must tell you that, one software that I have heard of and that I've watched a video of also is called ROS. It's, I think, been taken over by IBM. It was started by a lawyer who then, I think, joined hand with his friends who was a computer engineer or a computer software person, and they collaborated and developed something called ROS, which could minimize legal work into seconds, so far as your contracts, restructuring, and banking laws are concerned, and the queries of the clients are concerned. So in seconds, this program can research for you, give you outputs, give you result. And it's based on the IBM's platform of Watson. And I'm assuming the Watson here is the Sherlock Watson. That's why they have named it, a worthy assistant who will help you some intelligent in coming to a conclusion. And if you have a lot of preceded and which are put that into machine shortest time span. With relating research which was done by Stanford Law School, Duke Law, and University of Southern California, and it was observed, called law geeks, geek as in geek, but they said law geeks with the X, outperformed a team of 20 renowned US lawyers, spot issues in 5 NDAs, or non-disclosure agreement as they're popularly called, and you'd be surprised of 94%, whereas the lawyers with 20 odd years of experience under them achieved an accuracy of 85%. The most to finish the task of reviewing the NDAs, whereas the lawyers took 92 minutes of time. So you can imagine, with larger debate of, is AI the end all of it? Is it going to replace human beings in totality? I don't think so. Enable machines to perhaps to remove the clerical work that a lawyer would do. And by clerical work, for exigence, that a lot of corporate lawyers do, they take a lot of man-hours. So if we have an intelligent machine today with us, where you can just feed into our data, which has the ability is that you're given comparing that practically is a due diligence scenario. So let's say at A0 level, or you have just qualified to be a lawyer, you're the junior most associate in a firm, raising those documents, but also raising billable hours for the client. So that substantially will help a firm, to reduce structuring on the corporate deal. So I think AI would not replace human beings; it will enable lawyers and human beings in general to focus on the real task of lawyering or advocacy, so as to say. Because if you have the mundane work of or the clerical work which gets sideways and which can be now effectively done by a machine, then you can do it. So, for example, if let's say 20 years ago you had calculators where you would have to go and buy a calculator and then punch in the numbers. Today your smartphone can do it. You can say, "Hi Siri, tell me what is 20 plus 20 or 100 into this 546 or whatever number," and they will give you a quick answer. So the idea is that they have effectively made your life much easier than it used to be before. The other thought which crossed my mind is, let's say you are driving in a road. There are also flip sides of completely being relied on AI. But before I give that example, let me also give you this data that my team has researched for me, and a very interesting data regarding e-discoveries in America and in Europe. So what e-discoveries are doing, they are machine learning AIs, artificial intelligence, which is learning through a training that an algorithm which is capable of extracting the relevant parts from a large parts of information. So parties, in big ticket litigation, they have a lot of discovery documents. And in US and Europe, it's a standard format. So with the use of AI, they are collating it with the use of machineries and saving a lot of time using the discovery proceedings. An interesting fact, which has been told to me by my research team, is that there are artificial intelligence courts in China. There are 3 cities in Hangzhou, Beijing, and Guangzhou, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, which host a AI internet court, which are running 24/7. Disputes related to online transactions, for sale of goods and services, for copyrights and trademarks, for ownership and infringement of domains, trade disputes, and e-commerce product liability, amongst other claims. Now, it has been subjected to a lot of criticism also, because these internet courts are technically being supported by Alibaba and its subsidiaries. However, there have been concerns about its independence and impartiality, because you are practically interacting with machines and mechanized judges or courts, so as to say. So the whole element of the human touch, or a judge practically sitting and hearing your grievances or deciding on a humane level, giving you judgment based on their experiences, really goes out of the window. So we have to, going forward, see how things are going to be. Now, coming to the Indian diaspora, the Supreme Court, and we have a national data grid which has digitized the countrywide cases which have been going on, across the country. What has also been done, by the Supreme Court, is that they have launched a program for translating of Supreme Court judgments into 9 Indian languages. That has been done. I think in 2019, last year, Justice Bobde, the current Chief Justice of India, made this announcement, that this project will be launched by Supreme Court of India for Indian lawyers, and that should help us and enable us. The national data grid, what they are using is, they are putting all the data at one place, from trial court to high court to Supreme Court, not just about pending matters, but whatever matters are filed, and to enable either a litigant or a lawyer to go to a centralized website and take charge of this. Also, I think a substantial budget in 2014 of about 950 crore was set aside for the Indian judiciary by the then government to digitize the Indian courts, and also to train the court staff and judges to enable them to look after not just digitalization, but also a step in moving towards AI. Now, this also brings me to this aspect of the virtual courts, which we are currently handling in India. At least the Honorable Supreme Court and the Delhi High Court and trial courts in Delhi, and even the tribunals in Delhi, have done a fantastic job by adapting to technology. And they are, at least I have been, regularly appearing before a lot of these platforms, representing my clients. And what I've realized is, it's really convenient. It's super time saver for myself, for my clients, for my staff. They can all sit at the convenience of their home without compromising on their health. The system has been digitized. Initially, if I had to personally go get something photocopied, go to a notary, then put punches in the file, make a file, get the file binding, and then go to the registry, and then the registry will mark defects. Now, at least all those things, for the time being as a pilot project of this VC, have taken a backseat. So today, for 24 hours, at least in High Court and Supreme Court, I can file my matter. I'll get a diary number. I can still, put an urgent application, and the judge in a particular courtroom, if they find an urgency in my matter, will list the matter, and the matter will get heard. So like I'm conducting this webinar at ease by sitting at the convenience of my office, I can do the same thing, by sitting at the convenience of my office and argue a matter effectively before a court of law. So look how, digitization, artificial intelligence, or machine learning and human learning that goes with it is paving the way for future generations. So has it replaced anything? Let me give you a basic example of VCs, virtual courts. I would say no, it hasn't replaced anything. On the contrary, it has made my task easier. All I need is a good Wi-Fi connection and a computer, and obviously application of my mind to read a file and then argue a matter to effectively get justice to my client. So have I curtailed on my staff? No. Has my clerk lost his job? No, because we still need to scan documents. I have purchased a scanner, but I still need somebody physically to put the papers in the scan machine and for that machine to scan. So we'll always need human beings, and especially if you have a client meeting, you can do it either over Zoom or Google Meet. You still, if a client desires, they can come to your office. If a client desires, you may sometimes have to, personally go and meet them. So those things will always be there. But so far as, cost saving is concerned, or saving of time is concerned, I think we have definitely moved in a positive direction in this lockdown under the guidance of Supreme Court, and the judges and the e-committees that they have formed across the country. But we have to, take all the stakeholders together. And by stakeholders, I mean the judges, the staff, the litigants, the lawyers, to ensure and to, give them assurance that we are heading in the right direction. Today, as a lawyer, I do not have to, do not have the stress of, rushing to a court, trying to find a parking, having the stress of running from one courtroom to the other within a court premises, or to different tribunals or different courtrooms if I am having multiple cases in separate parts of the city, and even sitting at the convenience of my home. If I have an outstation matter which is outside Delhi in any other state, in any other court, I can do it at the convenience of sitting at a particular room, sitting in front of my computer. So I think things have taken a turn for good, and we must not be afraid of it, because this will mean that the people will have eventually more and more trust in the system. And the more trust they have in their lawyers, in the judges, in the judiciary, in the court system, I think more cases will pan out, because people at the end of the day, if they're not happy, if they think injustice is being meted out to them, they will come to the court eventually. And court as the last pillar of the democracy, the last horizon, where you actually go and say, look, this is the last resort, I have to get justice. And with the efficacy and with the effectiveness that they have shown in the past 3-4 months, I think it's exemplary. And to my mind, I think this should go on. So I'll tell you, when I started my career in Dubai, we used to have this dictaphone. So if I have to give any dictation, that I would carry my dictaphone and I can walk and I'd give a dictation, take the cassette out and give it to my secretary, and the secretary will then type it. Now, what AI has done practically now is, if you have intelligent software where, I can just dictate something and, it can straight away be translated in my computer, then it saves everybody time. I'm not saying it's eating on the job of secretary, because secretary still has to manage meetings, look after, vetting of the draft, if everything is, fine-tuned or not. So all those things, I think, are effectively reducing unnecessary man hours, which can be utilized in the progress of legal jurisprudence. The idea of lawyers to effectively help people to come out with judgments which resonate with the right side of the justice, so as to say. They have to eventually make a difference in your life and my life. So if we get this at least wasting, let's say, 4 hours of my daily routine of just going where my staff, is getting the photocopy done. My, lawyer colleagues are grappling with the registry for defects and all. So let's say with digitization, and I don't know, because it has still not been tried with the court, but judges are very particular with the margins. The way you file a particular case, that you have to have a particular margin, the font should be of a particular size, etc., before you file a court. Now, if you have intelligent machines, and if everything is happening digitally, if I'm typing everything, now we are not using typewriters, I'm not writing with a pen and paper or with a pencil and paper, we are all typing on our computers. So if we have an intelligent software where I can type something, I can make a pleading and I can put it before the court, and the court has intelligent software which can on its own put a margin, convenience for the convenience of the judge, and cure all the defects, which are non-legal in nature. If there's a legal point to it, they can always turn to the lawyer and say, look, these are the legal defects, please cure it. But if the defects are only administrative in nature, if the defects are only clerical in nature, then an intelligent machine or intelligent software should be able to do away with it. The time of the registry will be saved. The time of the lawyer will be saved, and the time of the lawyer staff will be saved. So it should be a win-win for all. I don't know when we'll come out with that software, but I think, thinking out loudly, I think this should be the step in the right direction. Now, our registry will say the marking is not there, the margins are not proper, you have overwritten something, why have you applied fluid, this doesn't make sense, why have you done this? So there are too many whys and whats and whatnots. So those things I think can be completely cordoned off. And at least what I've realized in the lockdown, because of the digitization and digital filing, a lot of these things have been done away with. So now the effective measure is I file, I appear before the court, I argue my matter and try to get a relief. And if it appeals in the court, they grant relief to a particular client. Now, another example I was trying to, put before you is, for example, all of us have been challaned sometime or the other. There is a traffic police, and at least in places like Delhi, now you have these CCTV cameras. The moment you cross your speed limit, an automatic challan is now sent to your phone number, and it says traffic violation or traffic proof. So your picture is also there that you are driving and you are in the driver's seat, and your car number is displayed. So obviously, besides being an invasion to privacy, they are looking at your car, they're looking what you're doing inside your car. And let's say the moment you have crossed a speed limit of 70, if the speed limit was 70 and you crossed even to 70 or 72, you get a challan. Now, were you so wrong in your driving in just exceeding 2 kilometers per hour? Either you may be on a call while driving, or you may be speaking to your co-passenger, or whatever the reason. Or should that 2 kilometer of breach, because of that CCTV recording, enable you to pay a fine of, let's say, 2,000 rupees in a court of law? Now, that is something, that you must consider. So this happened with me. Obviously, I was challaned. As I said, everybody has been challaned. So 2,000 rupees was, the challan was cut. And then I looked it up, online. And I requested one of my, lawyers in my office to please go to the concerned magistrate and, get it sorted, because it was a Lok Adalat matter thereafter. And as luck would have it, we came across a familiar magistrate where we are conducting other criminal trials also. And he also recognized the face of my, colleague who had gone from the office. And he said, "Madam, you are here. What is the matter?" She's like, "So my senior's vehicle has been challaned." He's like, "How much is the challan?" He said, "I think 1,000, 2,000, something like that." So he, told his staff, "Please cut a challan of 50 rupees. So do you see, from 2,000 to 50 rupees? So not only a judge appreciates your conduct as a lawyer, they also realize that you are not driving at 150. So why should you be punished, for an act which a machine thinks, that you have faulted at? So that's the difference between human learning and artificial learning. I'm giving a very basic example, and take it in the context of either a software. Now what is a software? A software is also a brainchild of a human being who is developing that software. So that may have its own idiosyncrasies, that may have its own pitfall, that may have its own fallacies by which it may get hacked. So whatever software gets hacked tomorrow, they are not unhackable. So if a software gets hacked, a lot of information can be compromised. So there's a wider debate. We'll come to that later. But I think I have spoken a lot. So let me pause here and let me request your good self and your audience to please put in their questions and answer, and we can have a good interactive and engaging session rather than a monologue. Let's have a dialogue, because then whatever time we have, we can constructively utilize in further debates and deliberations of AI.
Right. Thank you so much, sir, for that. I think I'll just firstly like to build upon the comparison that you made with regard to virtual courts and how that was considerably new for an Indian jurisdiction, and how. So my question being that, can the success or acceptance of virtual courts be used as a basis for understanding how other newer technology would be accepted by the Indian legal fraternity? Because something like AI is far more complex, as we all understand it. So how do you see that panning out? Because a lot of people, since virtual courts have been quite successful, as even you've pointed out, will going ahead that make the field more freer towards acceptance of newer technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on?
I think, look, VC is a step in the right direction, but VC, strictly speaking, may not be AI. I was having this discussion with my, lawyer friend yesterday who had helped me in the research, and I asked him this question: "Do you think VC is AI?" He said, "No." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Look, VC is just like it's like a platform. Like we are having a webinar. So it's enabling us to speak. But in a way, I mean, I can have a flip side of the debate also, because in a way, somewhere has someone has developed this software for us to sit like this and interact. So software is artificial. It's artificial intelligence in a way. It's coding, it's programming, by which today you and I can talk with this interface. So similarly, we see, I would say, partially the artificial intelligence, because either you are using a Cisco WebEx, that's what is being used by the Indian courts. Cisco WebEx is being used, and it's a software at the end of the day, and it has its own mechanism by which you can mute, the attendees, by which you can, put their videos on off, by which you can mark your attendance in a chat box, etc., etc. And similar to a Zoom platform also, all these are software which are developed. So they are making our life easier. Today I don't have to personally fly, though I would like to, and speak in a seminar. But in a webinar, things have become easier without compromising on our health because of the pandemic, etc., etc. And it's time saving at the end of the day. We have to realize. So there has been some opposition to VC because, to be honest, look, VC has been marginally successful in metropolitans like Delhi and Bombay. But in other parts of the country, either the lawyers are reluctant to use the technology, or the courts themselves are not adapting, to the VCs themselves. So I can give you an example without naming the high courts, but I have had two instances where the high courts are practically not functioning on VC. And there's a particular high court which says we'll only do VC by the time you file a physical copy also. Now, if you make that criteria, the whole, the whole idea of VC fails systematically. So if I have to give you a physical copy, which means practically finding a notary, typing, photocopying, printing, and then dispatching it to a particular state, then what is the use of digitization? Why be so, strong-headed about the approach? That's the question. And it, pans down to both the judiciary and the lawyers, because we are, we are one side of the same coin, So we have to look at solutions rather than problems. The problem is a pandemic, but the solution is VC. So if VC is the solution, then we have to think of how best to utilize this opportunity which has come our way. And if we start using VC, as I said, and I pointed the lot of benefits that I have personally seen using a virtual courtroom or a VC, I would say my, the lawyer brethren and my lawyer colleague will also benefit by and large by using VC. And once we get adapted, to the whole concept of VC, then subsequently, things like a smart software, which I just told you, which can be used for digitization and which can be used for assisting the judges, and which can be even used for, researching case laws. For example, we've all been using Manupatra or SCC. What are they? They're also software. We have been using Boolean searches. So 40 years ago, if you were to do your internship, or even 20 years ago, if you were to do your internship, you would be physically taking the books, going through the index and, finding the judgments. But today, you can do this in the shortest span of time. And with a smarter machine or with a smarter software, which can, where I can just dictate, look, let's say a motor accident claim comes to me and I say, look, this is the premise of motor accident claim that I want to find a point of law in. And I can give a digital command or a voice command, and a software can scan through hundreds or millions of judgments, either on SCC or on Indian Kanun or on Manupatra, whatever platform you're using, or Westlaw, or just whatever it is. Then it can quickly summarize the relevant paras or the relevant cases, which let's say if I were to give it to my lawyer staff, they would at least take 2 hours or 4 hours or 6 hours to find something, because we have to then apply ourselves and think. I'm not saying law is not complex or the complexities of the case are any less, but yes, with AI, the research which is being done manually can be done digitally. So yes, the first step, as you rightly said, is first the acceptance of VC, that it is a part of our life, it is a new normal. And the second step would be, once the VC is done, then we can definitely look at the positive impact of AI in our lives and how that can be utilized to give people justice.
Right. Thank you, sir. So, sort of building upon the same theme, as you said, certain high courts were reluctant to start VCs and so on. Do you think, even if, let's say, the Supreme Court, as you said, have started projects to slowly incorporate certain machine learning elements, even if we do have those projects and those projects are implemented, do you see them permeating to all layers, being metropolitans or A's towns, B towns, C towns? Or is there a problem where only the top few, maybe the Supreme Court and a few very important high courts, would be using this technology, and the rest of the country would be functioning on the same old system. Do you see that happening?
Look, I think, and I'm an optimist when it comes to that. I hope it permeates to all the courts in the country, because justice runs two ways. It's not just from the lower court to the higher court. That's the appeal mechanism. But the moment Supreme Court gives a justice, that applies to all of the country. So justice is a two-way street. That's not a singular process. So similar thing for AI and virtual courts also. When you see, I mean, the idea is this. The idea is the moment you are open to accepting something which will be for the larger good of humankind, there should be less and less impediment. For example, in Delhi, when I'm going to trial courts, and even in High Court, I'll give an instance. If there are lawyers who are appearing from phone who cannot switch on their a video for whatever reason, but judges are listening to them with utmost patience and giving them the same amount of time as a lawyer who is appearing on video. So the concept of justice being meted out is right there. If a judge can hear you out because the link is being sent by the court staff, the court registry to you. So the security is there, and then they ask you for your email ID, etc., and all that. So that security is being taken care of. The idea is, look, no random person is going to come and argue a third party's case. Only a lawyer who has read a file is going to come and argue. It's as simple as that, right? I cannot be privy to a file of a third party. I don't know what the facts are. I don't know what the client's case is. So I can only argue my matter. So that thing is taken care of. But what lawyers have to understand is you have to utilize the smartphone, the technology, which is now a part of our day-to-day life. Look, today, if you have to order food from outside, you use Zomato or Swiggy, right? Similarly, when you have to take a cab, you use Ola Uber. If you have to order grocery, you use Grofers or whatever other app there are. So when we are using these apps, why can't we use a Cisco or a Zoom or a Google Meet to conduct courts virtually? The question is as simple as that. Why complicate things when things can be simple?
Right, sir. You're absolutely right in that. But according to you, what are some drawbacks that virtual courts have? So there's been a popular opinion that courts no longer are open to public. So the meeting link is only sent to the advocates in the case or the courtroom staff. So, and since there is no transcript of the conversation between the judge and the advocate posted, so the audience can, there is no public view to the discussion between the judge and the advocate anymore. So what is your opinion on that?
Look, I think it will take time because the judges are also grappling with muting a lot of people, because if a litigant comes, a lot of lawyers who are not privy to VCs. So many a times, judges say, please mute your mic. Or they have to, because in the background there can be any noise. Either you're sitting at home or your factory or whatever the situation is. So that becomes difficult. So people have to be trained for it, whether it be a litigant. Look, all the litigants are people like you and I, they're normal people. So if nobody has, and because look, as lawyers, we are very forthcoming in our approach. We are doing webinars because we always believe in a knowledge sharing platform. Law is based on discussions and deliberation. But not everybody is either fond of webinars or would have heard of webinars. So how do you handle those clients? Yes, transparency should be there, live streaming should be there, and I'm all for it. But the first step is how to make VCs more accessible, one, to the legal fraternity, and once that has taken care of, then to the normal public also. And normal public, need to have the basic faith in their lawyers and judiciary. You cannot think the lawyer is going to play a fast one and ruin your case. You engage a lawyer, you meet them, you discuss your case with them, and it's only after taking instruction that we appear in the court and we argue your matter. No lawyer, including me, is in a habit of randomly appearing before a court. That doesn't happen. We appear on instruction and we plead a matter. So the whole art of persuasion is I think, as I said, is a two-way thing. So we'll have to again educate the court staff, the lawyers, the litigants on how to use these things. There have to be some YouTube videos. I think Supreme Court did upload something when they went to the VC system, which is available online. So those things have to be treated fairly to each and everyone. So that will take some time, not years. I think few weeks and months should do it for people, because as I said, everybody is on phone. It's only a basic concept of please mute your mic and please switch off your video. They are the only two simplest instructions in a VC. If somebody has to submit, I think they should. They can always chat with their lawyer on a phone and say, look, I also need to submit something. or if their case is going on, they can unmute their mic, seek the permission of the court, which also happens in physical hearing. But this I'm telling you of High Court and Supreme Court, which are the appellate forum. When I speak of trials, they are a little more complicated because in a trial, there are too many stakeholders. Let me give an example of a criminal trial. You have a prosecutor, you have a defense, you have the witnesses, and you have the judge. And then you have the court staff taking the dictation. So how do you ensure that the person who is giving the testimony, is not compromised as a witness, or nobody is, prompting him an answer? So for that, we have to develop a mechanism. I think in one of my VCs earlier on, in one of my webinar on VC, I had made the suggestion that the one way to look at it is that person can go to the nearest. If you're based out of village, you can go to your village panchayat or your SDM or DM office where you can have a computer room, and that person can look at your ID card to ensure that the right witness is coming to the court. And having done that under the supervision of the DM, SDM, even from a far distance without wasting your time or the court's time, you can do a cross-examination, which means nobody will be prompting into you, nobody will be standing on your side, etc., etc. But that is one leg of the argument. The flip side of the argument is if I'm using my AirPods, and if I'm connected to two different phones, one with the VC and the other with the person, just like Munna Bhai MBBS, somebody can be prompting me and I'll be acing my exam. So we have to think, because people in our country, look, let's understand, it are very clever. We jugaad aur janta hai. So they know how to subvert a system before they accept a system. And most of the software developers are Indians. Google head is Indian, Microsoft head is Indian. So let's not underestimate Indians at any stretch. We are very, very clever people. So we have to think that they do not play a fast on the judiciary, and for that I think a larger debate is required.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. So I think you mentioned in your initial address, you talked about Chinese AI codes that mostly deal with traffic challans and similar sort of petty offenses. However, there are a lot of even American codes. Portland, Oregon was one of them. A few other district codes in America were taking the help of AI softwares. So how that worked out was that the software, the fully developed software, would give out judgments. It's just the judge would check the basic point of law and then the judgment would give out. In light of how there have been questions whether the judiciary has too much discretion from time to time, that debates also come up. Do you see that happening? Maybe not in the Supreme Court, but maybe at certain lower courts in India anytime soon?
Sorry, so what's the? Can you just rephrase the question regarding the lower courts?
So essentially, a lot of courts in America have been using AI software to deliver judgments. Keeping that in mind, and sort of I'm combining two questions in the sense that recently the Indian judiciary, there's been allegations that they have too much discretion. A judge at times has too much discretion and they may go outside the bounds of the square that has been given. Keeping that in mind and seeing the success that certain Western jurisdictions have had, do you see that happening where the judge only has to sign off on the judgment and the primary judgment is given by a machine or a system? Or is that too far beyond the realms of possibility?
I think, look, as of now, I think it's a little far-fetched. I'll tell you why. The moment you say the judge will only sign on a document where a judgment is delivered by a machine doesn't appeal to me, and I'm sure will not appeal to a lot of judges, because as lawyers and as judges, we do, we pride ourselves in our thinking mechanism. So should we blatantly sign on what the machine has said? Well, if it is a simple Charan order, things are different. But as I said, 2,002 rupees 50 again is a journey, which I don't think a machine will understand, because machine is just supposed to do a particular task as per the algorithm. They are supposed to accomplish a particular task. So that's their job. But the role of a human being is much more, complex and much more diverse. We have to take into consideration a lot of factors which may go into a matter. Even a simple matter or a complex matter, doesn't matter, but a lot of factors have to be taken into it. So far as discretion is concerned, look, discretion has no definition. And I keep saying it to everybody I meet, that discretion, if you accept maybe English dictionaries, you will not find a legal connotation or discretion being defined in any act or any code, because that is the power that a judge wields on you when they have to decide a matter. It's their discretion, especially in a bail matter. especially in a stay matter. They have to think, they have to apply themselves, they have to apply their mind. It's their discretion. If a party thinks that a party has been wronged by a particular court, and let's say a trial court, then they always have a way of appeal to a superior court. In our country, it's the High Court and then the Supreme Court, right? But you cannot waive of discretion, and discretion at all times is not bad. Sometimes it's good also. Taking the same parlance of argument, will a machine also have its discretion? Absolutely. As I said, it's a software, it's an algorithm. So if I am a software developer and I want a machine to be executing a particular way only, then it's my discretion as a software developer. And similarly, and I'm not saying discretion in a human way, I'm saying discretion in a mechanized way. So if, let's say, I put algorithm, no, anybody who has driven more than 70 kilometers per hour has to definitely pay a challan of, let's say, 2,000 rupees. And that is the instruction you give to a machine. So the ambit of discretion then goes away, and then it goes out of the ambit of the machine thinking. But if the machine has two-prong system where it says, okay, a person has committed a traffic offense or a challan, but if the person was not driving over 100 kilometers, then this should be the fine. And if they were driving over 100 kilometers, then the other heavier penalty should be given to them. So if that discretion or that difference is made out, perhaps I think people will be a little more acceptable to petty offenses. In terms of other, I think, dynamics, we still have to think how to make these machines intelligent. Because look, as law students, as lawyers, it takes us years of practice in understanding the modalities of the system, in understanding various laws which are out there, sometimes in comparing different laws of different countries, also sometimes understanding what international law says. So it's not a straight line. There are lot many debates, discussion, deliberations, thinking which has gone into getting a law placed, first tabled before a particular body, and then being notified in a gazette, and then becoming an act, and then becoming a law, and then getting challenged in a court of law. It's a huge process because everything is taken in the confines of the human environment in which the law is functioning. So law, in a way, is a living organism. But machine, on the contrary, is not a living organism. It's just acting at a behest. So I think that is something that we have to decide.
Thank you for your answer, sir. We have another question from the live chat here. Nenad asks, can you explain the responsibility in criminal and civil law for the crimes or for any damage committed by artificial intelligence?
Look, to my knowledge, I don't think any machine has committed an offense so far, at least in India. I have heard of cases where ATM machines have been stolen, but by human beings. I don't think the time has come where ATM has walked up to a human being and say, I will rob you and give me back the money. So far as hacking is concerned, look, hacking is again not done by machines. It's again done by people, ethical or unethical hacker, whatever you call them, by people who are sitting behind a machine. So I always say, so far as crime is concerned, I don't think you can blame machines. Crime is human being driven. It's the human psyche which is always at play. And that's why the definition in any crime, you cannot put a computer behind bars. Think about it. Unless it's a robot, then it's a different thing, that you have to dismantle that robot. If it's a smart car which Tesla is doing, if it goes on killing people because of a software malfunction, you will go and, arrest the person who is, or the engineer or the owner or the director of the company. I don't think you'll arrest a car. I gave the example of this movie, Minority Report, Tom Cruise, that I watched some time ago. And it particularly reflects on this aspect where the machine software was compromised, where, the idea was the crime agency or the police agency in the future would be able to read a future crime and avoid that crime. And somehow, and then Tom Cruise is running because the machines are after him. They think he's going to commit a crime. So a prospective criminal. But what happens is there was a compromise in the software because somebody, messes it up or tries to, put it to their advantage. So, the idea is wherever there will be human beings, there is chances of tampering happening. So the moment you are going to tamper something, whether it be a software or whether it be any system, judicial or otherwise, you'll have to have checks and balances. You'll have to have a robust mechanism to check and counter check. I think that is the right way to do it.
Right. Thank you, sir. So, just we're sort of entering into our last set of questions since we're about to be. I didn't even realize it's about to be an hour. It's been such a great session. But building on the question of liability structures for machines and artificially intelligent machines, there's the industry argument of engineers and a lot of developers. They say that if you do make the engineers or the company who's programming these machines liable, then that will sort of dampen innovation in the longer run, because then really less number of companies would enter into the field because there's such a strict liability being imposed upon them. And how do we balance that? Because yes, from a criminal or a civil standpoint, we do need someone to be held liable for that, but in the longer understanding of humanity and sort of development of technology, we do need to encourage softwares being developed, and yes, that will happen from mistakes being committed.
Look, everything is based on trial and error. And I'm with you that one must encourage, software developers and companies who are doing this. At the same time, I think the concept of strict liability has to be very, dealt carefully. Are they developing a software knowingly which will violate your privacy? Or are they developing a software keeping in mind that there were flaws which could have been rectified but were not rectified? So those things I think have to be taken care of, because look, the purpose of law is not to just punish people. It is also to look, in the area if somebody has faltered purposefully. So if the purpose was there to harm you, or if the purpose is there to commit a crime or to perpetrate a crime or to abet a crime or to harm human civilization in general, then accordingly, punishment has to be meted out. It's something like this. Look, Supreme Court said you just cannot drag lawyers and doctors into a consumer platform, because then they will not be able to do their job, because they will be, under constant stress of performing their duties. So on the same pedestal, I would say software people are also doing their duty. They're trying to make world a better place. So let's not punish them just yet. But then yes, there should be laws in place which provide checks and balances so that they don't go overboard.
So another question that we have is, what would be the role of privacy in making a regulatory framework for artificial intelligence, keeping in mind that privacy is now recognized as a fundamental right?
No, privacy is there, and nobody is violating your privacy just as yet, I think, or till the time you do something yourself. Let's imagine this. I'll give you a scenario. You are sitting in your room, but you don't like to use mobile phones or computers or Wi-Fi. You believe in reading newspapers and books the old-fashioned way, and you don't even have a CCTV in your house. So there is no invasion of your privacy. But the moment you have a smartphone in your hand, the moment you have a Wi-Fi connection, the moment you have Alexa or Siri or even Google, chances are that somebody is prying on you, because the moment the artificial intelligence says, look, I know your mood and this is the song you would like to listen to this, or even if you're driving in your car and using Google Maps and a song of your choice or of your mood or whatever, or maybe you may have just discussed something 40 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago with a friend, and that songs come out, which means something. I don't know how intelligent the machine is, but definitely somebody is prying in my private life. Would we like that to happen? But we are bringing it upon ourselves. We think, sitting at the convenience of our couch, we can order Alexa left, right, and center, just like, having this servile mindset. So that person is a servant, and we can, just give them any, command. So people, the moment you think you are going to act bossy, you are also surrendering some of your privacy to a machine. So that becomes, a very debatable topic as to did somebody impose Alexa on you, or did out of, I'm just saying Alexa, it can be any software, but or out of your own will, did you, just bring it or purchase it from Amazon or Snapdeal or Flipkart, and you thought it was of any utility to you. So, just giving you a very basic example. So, so far as again privacy is concerned, it has been upheld by the courts. It is an innate right with all of us. But should I be able to pry in your bedrooms using a CCTV camera which I'm operating remotely as a software person, or as a person who has sold you a CCTV camera, or even spy cameras, or even Alexas, or even Siris, or even smartphones with cameras? So those things we have to again realize, and adding my answer to the previous question is how much is too much, and were these softwares developed with the intent of only assisting you, or actually were they made with such porous, algorithm that anybody could hack into them? So that is something that we have to decide.
Sir, so building upon what you said about, in a lot of cases, we ourselves don't know when we're consenting to, some buying, when we're buying Alexa, when we're buying Google Home Assistants. Consumer can make sure that they take care of before buy any of these products. What is a particular privacy policy that they should read?
Look, it's not about the privacy policy. You have to look at the utility of the product that you're buying, according to me. Do you actually need Alexa to play music? That becomes a question. Today you can have music either on your laptop or on your pods, or as simple as a cassette player or a record player if you have that in your house anymore. I don't know. It used to happen 20, 30 years ago. We all used to have those Walkmans and all. So things have changed because now there is so much data in terms of the videos that you want to watch, the music that you want to listen to. But should there be an intermingling? See, for example, when you're listening to music, the chances are you want some private time, you want some your own space, you want a headspace. But at the same time, if you're also surfing, during that surfing, is somebody prying to what type of music are you listening to? That becomes a question. So there is a very, very clear line, I think clear divide according to me, of what should be allowed and what shouldn't be allowed. Why should, the moment you connect to internet, should somebody be allowed to pry in your phone? So I think those things require a much larger debate.
That's very true. Another question that we have from the live chat is how, after the pandemic, after there is no threat of contracting COVID-19, do you think that virtual courts will be encouraged just for persons who are perhaps joining in from Delhi and there's a matter heard in Bombay High Court? So for things like this, will it be encouraged even for clients who are not present in the court itself? So do you see a future in this regard?
Madam, I personally speaking, and it's my personal point of view, I think it should be encouraged. I think Supreme Court has already, it's the helm of these things, and it has done a wonderful, wonderful job. And yet, I don't see a reason as to why it should not be encouraged. If it saves so many people so much of time, energy, money, and even heartburn, because if you're an accused or if you're just for a matter of harassment, if somebody has filed a case against you, you have to travel from point A to point B, doesn't make sense. And not in all matters. There can be 70-30 split according to me. 70% of the cases can be heard through VCs, and 30% of the other cases, where a final argument is required or a trial, as we just discussed, is required, then you can have people physically coming to a court. But there are huge advantages of VCs, and I don't think by every time there is a change, people find a change. So it takes some time, So I think it will take some time. I don't know how much time will it take, but I personally would not want the country to now go back to the way physical hearing were conducted, because I have seen how efficient VCs can be, and anybody and a lot of my fraternity people, I'm sure, will endorse my view that anybody who has been sitting at the convenience of their offices or homes, they can be with their family members, they can accomplish so many other tasks, do some other research, still have a word with the client, still watch a movie in between, and you can still have a snack while a VC, switch off your VC and go and have a snack and come back and argue wonderfully. So those things can be accomplished vis-a-vis, being in a physical court hearing.
That's very true. Thank you so much for these answers, because I think they've really opened our eyes to a new world that may or may not be. Now, I'd just like to hand off the podium to Saharsh to deliver the vote of thanks.
I think the snacks were a good time to stop. It's appropriate that everyone has their evening, chais or coffees and all of the assortments that come with it. So yeah, thank you so much, Kushal. I have the honor on behalf of the entire core team to thank Jayant sir. It's always a pleasure in hosting sir. We've hosted sir a couple of times now, and we're really grateful to sir. And additionally, we're really thankful to all the participants who tuned in. We really don't have the final numbers till now because they keep fluctuating. But yeah, thank you so much. And we'll try and put forward a recording of the session also on the same medium, so that this is a resource that you can go back to and what the main purpose of this session was not to give a very conclusive answer to each and every question, because that would be 2000 books couldn't do that, but just to start a conversation on the matter of how the legal fraternity and the emerging technologies do need to go hand in hand. So again, I want to thank Jan sir, thank all the participants, and we'll take your leave now. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much to all the participants. Thank you so much to my fellow core team. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.